Which film had the worst Michael Myers? Out of all the portrayals of Michael Myers, who is the worst? That's a pretty hard question to answer. It's obviously very subjective, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will probably disagree with each other. I do think there's definitely a few popular contenders, but again, this is just my opinion. So starting off, I think I've got to go with number 5, and it really isn't just because of the mask. That, of course, is going to be a factor on it, and I've made a video on this previously, but I didn't really like the Halloween 5 mask, you know. I thought it did look a bit alienated. But moving from the mask, I think the movement of Michael just wasn't quite right. And, you know, that's not to say that in a lot of Halloween films, they don't get the movement or the mannerisms of the shape correct, because it is hard to follow from the original. But for me, he was just a little too slow in this film, a little too robotic, and like, there just wasn't a lot of Michael personal traits in him that I saw. And next up, this one does pain me to say a little bit, but I think I have to put it in there. The Michael Myers in Halloween H2O for me is, again, it's a bit off. I do really like H2O. It's one of my favorites, but to me, he seemed maybe a little too loose in the film. I don't know if that's the right way to say that. I found him a little bit silly looking at times, and he kind of reminded me a little bit more of like a Ghostface type character. You know, I found he looked a bit dumb at times, got himself caught, you know. That also is probably the fault of the mask of H2O. I think we did see a little bit too much of his eyes, which, to be honest with you, it never really bothered me until like maybe, yeah, the last like 4 or 5 years, where I was like, yeah, you know what, like with how wide-eyed he is, it just looked like he was shocked by everything. And yeah, it did ruin a little bit to me. It ruined the intimidation of Michael Myers that I feel sometimes. And then last but not least, if we're going off a complete Michael Myers portrayal, I think Halloween Ends has to be there, and it's probably the winner for me. The Michael Myers that we did get in Halloween Ends was a defeated, wounded, dying Michael Myers that realistically, as a Michael Myers fan, it was not nice to see. And that's a real shame as well that I'm saying that, because James Stu Courtney absolutely nails his Michael movements. He's my favourite shape, and to see that his last time potentially playing this role, he was so restricted because of the script and, you know, just the situation Michael was in is unfortunate. You know, I wish they didn't make him so weak and we could, you know, get one final blast from James Stu Courtney. But yeah, that's probably my pick in this. It would be the Halloween Ends one, and then the ones I mentioned before are just ones that, for me personally, stick out as the more weaker Michael Myers. I did try and look a little bit to see what people's general thoughts were on this, and two that kept popping up were Rob Zombie's Michael Myers and Halloween 4. I definitely understand Halloween 4. Halloween 4 definitely grew on me. You know, I watched it for the first time very young, or the first, you know, few times, 5-6 times, very young. And I did just think, like, from the first one especially, I just didn't get how we came to this dumb looking Michael Myers, like a hockey player. So that one I understand. You know, the mask is a little bit weird too in that film for sure. Rob Zombies I was a little bit surprised on, but obviously I guess put a hockey mask on him and that's Jason. You know, the brute force that he shows in that film is essentially Jason Voorhees. So I understand why people would say that's a bad Michael Myers, because it doesn't at times feel like him. It's just that they're wearing a Michael Myers costume and it's just a psycho, basically. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Which Michael Myers is the worst in your opinion? And I'll see you guys in the next one.